everyone. I'm April Rochelle of Bashar Communications, and I brought our little friend up here because today's session with Bashar is entitled Nature's Social Network. And it's all about connecting with animals and plants and rocks and crystals and all the forces of nature in order to become more deeply connected with your own inner and higher self. Because it's really through nature that you know how much power nature has. And when you start connecting with that level of power and understanding the communication that's going on, that's all invisible to us right now, it really enriches your life and it gives you a lot more tools to work with in terms of exploring the universe. So we're really looking forward to hearing that today. And as you all know, San Francisco is coming up on July 8th. And that one's entitled The Manifestation Space. So we'll be learning more about the things that are involved in manifestation. September, we're doing a contact weekend in Sedona, and that will be on the 9th and 10th. And we've got a new place that we're doing our events at now, and it's larger and it's even more amazing. And of course, Sedona itself is where Bashar's ship is above. And so we're looking forward to a really powerful weekend. We're working on some other surprise things that we'll tell you about once we get closer to the date. But be sure and join us if you feel a calling to come to Sedona and get a chance to meet with lots of other Bashar people and that enjoy this information, everything. It'll be a great party. We also have a dolphin workshop coming up in October, and this is a workshop that combines swimming with dolphins every day for about 3 or 4 hours. These are wild dolphins, wild spinner dolphins in Kona. And then we have guided meditations that Bashar has prepared for us that takes you on a journey of your own consciousness as well as the dolphin consciousness in the ocean, guaranteed to bring forth your inner merman or mermaid. And I see it happen every single time because we've all got that inside of ourselves. And once you spend a week swimming freely in the ocean, you lose so much of your fear if you have any. And it truly transforms you into a person that's much more confident and much more focused on what you want to do with your life. And then we have the Whales of Atlantis in the Dominican Republic, and that's in March. Now, this is an immersion experience where you're in the water with the whales, and it is awesome. I mean, sometimes you have whales in front of you that are dancing. I don't know how to tell you what it's like to be around a whale that's suspended up and down in the water that's just flowing, and usually there's 2 of them dancing together. It's just crazy. And then sometimes you have these rowdy groups where you'll have 10 or 12 male whales chasing a female, breaching on top of each other. And I mean, the sounds, I was just so excited. I'm getting so excited right now. I can't stand it. So, and you can literally lay in your bed and watch whales going by. I mean, it's so much fun. And they feed you, and we have amazing guided meditations all about Atlantis. So if this is something that's exciting to you, you won't be disappointed if you decide to join us in March. So, all right. So without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you the very talented channel for Bashar, Darylenka. So again, thank you all so much for coming. And thank you, Daryl, for being who you are and doing what you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, are we ready? Yeah? Okay. Thank you all. Have fun. See you later. I wanted to say good day to you, this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. Thank you once again for the co-creation of these interactions and the allowance of this transmission in this way at this time. We would like to begin this transmission by reminding you that it is titled Nature's Social Network. The idea being that there are a variety of ways that different elements, different expressions in nature communicate with one another, because you are all immersed in a web of energy and information. But there are very specific ways in which these connections in the energy web are expressed depending upon the expression of nature. First, we remind you that you do not exist in nature, you are nature. Your bodies are an expression of the nature of the reality that you have chosen to experience. We know that for some time, many individuals within humanity have, in the past, thought of themselves as being separate from nature, maybe living in it, maybe being surrounded by it, but not necessarily considering themselves to be of it. But you are. Your world has given you the ability to crystallize a physical form out of the elements of nature that exist in your reality at your vibratory level of energy, rendering that energy, crystallizing that energy into what you call the perception of matter. So you are absolutely an extension of nature on Earth. But in societies that exist on your planet who have forgotten that, not everyone, but many, then there is an important need to allow yourselves to begin to experience yourselves once again, as you did long ago, as expressions of nature. This would be the first step in being capable of perceiving and connecting in a conscious way to the web of information, the web of energy that connects you all, that connects all nature, all things, in your experience of reality. But we will begin by describing one of the ways, or two of the ways, or maybe three of the ways, we will see, that different expressions in nature have of expressing this connectivity and utilizing this connectivity in a variety of ways to support life, to support consciousness and its expressions in your reality. Let us begin with the trees. We have talked about the idea from time to time that trees, in a sense, are very much like antennae protruding upwards into the sky from the earth, and the way they are structured based on certain mathematical ratios, they are sensitive to many different kinds of higher level energies, and they can, like an antenna, receive those energies in the very fine tips of their branches and leaves, and transform and transmit and step down and allow that energy to be guided into the earth, to be used in a variety of ways, to be tapped into by whatever needs to tap into that energy at whatever frequency is relevant for the different life form that may choose to tap into that energy and utilize that connective energy web. But more than that, deep underground, in the roots of trees and plants, there is another expression of this connective network, this social network. In any given group of trees, you will find in these forests that the roots of the trees, in whatever way they may choose to spread out, are also connected to what has been termed in your language the mycelial network. The mycelial network is a type of growth of fungal filaments that attach to the roots and go from one tree to another, to another, to another, to another, throughout the grove, throughout the forest. So in a forest where the trees are dense, all the trees are connected underground by their roots through this fungal mycelial network. Now, this network of filaments that connect all these roots are not only for the purpose of transmitting energy, are not only for the purpose of transmitting information, but they provide a true demonstration of the intelligence inherent in all life forms on your planet, whether you think they are necessarily intelligent or not. Not only can information and energy be transmitted through the mycelial network in much the same way that your neural net in your brains transmit impulses, electrical impulses, between all the different neurons, this mycelial network can transmit those kinds of impulses, but also serves many other functions. The mycelial network can actually transmit water from one tree to another where water may be lacking. So the trees that are receiving more water will know through the information of the mycelial network which trees may not be receiving enough water, and they will actually intentionally send more water through the mycelial network to the trees that require it. They will send food and nutrients through the mycelial network as well to the trees that require it. This is a true transport system underground for the trees of a forest. And there is vast amount of information, vast amount of exchange going on under your feet when you walk through a forest, like an underground subway network that you may not even have been aware of going on just a few feet underground, right under your feet. All this talk, all this communication, foodstuffs, water, impulses back and forth, it's very busy going on under there. It's its own kind of city. Now, sometimes you can tell where these mycelial networks might be because one of the offshoots of the fungal filaments might be that at a certain point, mushrooms and other fungal forms will come up through the ground, showing you exactly where some of these mycelial networks may have blossomed into another expression and form of life that then aids and assists and adds to the overall communication web going on in that forest. One of the things that has come down through stories and legends on your planet is the idea of what you call fairy rings, which are usually described as the idea of mushrooms in a circle forming a fairy ring, as you call it, to which different forms of nature spirits and elementals may be attracted, or you may be able, if you are able to perceive them, find them gathering in those areas. This is because it is their form of connecting to the mycelial network. They actually can use that ring, and it grows in a ring for the purpose of actually allowing other beings of different frequencies to tap into that network when they need to. In a sense, you could say, euphemistically, the fairy rings of different kinds of mushrooms that crop up from the mycelial network underground so that there can be an interface with different kinds of nature spirits to that web of information, are almost, in a sense, kind of like their Stonehenge. You understand? So it forms that circle to capture that energy, to transmit that energy in a very efficient way. It forms a kind of energy web lens by being in a circular form, and that helps aid and assist in the amplification of the energy, of the information, and it also transmits it to the particular vibration needed for the elementals and the nature spirits to be able to access that information based on their nature. Now, there are other forms of communication and social networks in nature. When you're talking about the idea of the elements themselves, not elementals, but the elements themselves, what you would call the hard minerals, what you would call rocks, what you would call boulders, what you would call foothills, what you would call mountains. There is another system that is concurrent with what we are describing that uses the energy web in a different way. One thing that only very few of your scientists have begun to realize and are beginning to investigate is that there is what we might term a deep resonance field that exists, that is, generally speaking, on a vibratory level that is below your ability to sense. If you are sensitive enough, you can feel it, you can tap into it, but generally speaking, it is not always audible to you. It is a very deep, thrumming, vibrating, resonant energy, the deep energy resonance field that is part of the electromagnetic field of your planet that it issues, but it is tuned and pitched in such a way that it actually forms a communication network between all of the crystalline minerals and rocks and mountains on your planet. This is the vibratory level of the nature of that kind of consciousness, of mineral or crystalline consciousness. And it communicates readily in a variety of ways through that deep resonance field. Now, some of your scientists are also beginning to understand and realize that everything is made of consciousness. Everything is self-aware in its own way. It may not be self-aware in the way that you express it, but nevertheless, it is still a reflection. It knows itself as a reflection of all that is in its own way, in its own interpretation. And they are recognizing that consciousness is pervasive and permeates everything in creation. Very few cutting-edge quantum physicists are beginning to explore this. The term they have used for this is called panpsychism, or the idea that they are now beginning to express that there is a proto-consciousness field that exists everywhere, and out of which consciousness in its various forms of expression may arise. So the proto-consciousness field itself is another way that many beings throughout creation will form this sort of energy net and energy web. This is generally what is used by what you would call animals on your planet, humans on your planet, in a variety of ways. They tap into the idea of this consciousness field, and based on the configuration of the consciousness, in other words, what kind of a being it is, because the kind of being you are is a description of how you are energetically arranged as a kind of a matrix to filter this consciousness field through yourself and express it in the ways that are germane and relevant for the description of what you are, of who you are. So animals, humans, all that kind of life will utilize the consciousness field and will, through themselves, filter it in such a way as to create different frequencies, different vibrations that are given off that are specific to those particular types of animals, those particular types of beings. So this is what it means when you learn to talk cat, talk dog, talk fox, talk dolphin, talk any kind of animal, is picking up on the specific resonant frequency of the consciousness field that they are using, their particular wavelength, their particular, well, if you wish, radio station, to dial in yourself to those frequencies. Now, the idea of humanity, in a sense, not being in any way, shape, or form better than any of this, has itself, by definition, one interesting and unusual difference in all of this, and that is not that other animals can't do it if they need to, but the idea of humanity, of what you would call sentiency in your form, has the ability to actually, and is built into the ability to actually go up and down the range of these frequencies we are describing, so that you can tune in, so that you can, in a sense, funnel through you all the different wavelengths, all the different frequencies, all the different forms of communication and resonance to express an amalgamation of these ideas, a kind of combination, a kind of synergy of all these ideas. You are the form on Earth that can process all of this into one large overall understanding and expression of holism on your planet, which is why you think of yourselves in many ways as the stewards of the earth, of the land, the humans, of the sea, the dolphins and the whales. So the dolphins and whales also have this ability to go through a range of frequencies very naturally to pick up on and tie together and link together and express synergistically the idea of many different kinds of forms of life and expressions on your planet. This is why, in a sense, it is given to you to be the caretakers. Now, in the past, because of negative definitions and negative belief systems, many humans on your planet have thought that this meant that you have domination over all the other life on your planet. This is not the case. In the old interpretation, in some of your ancient scriptures, where it says that mankind has dominion over the earth and all life on earth, the ancient term dominion in that sense meant caretaker, not overlord. So the idea is dominion is given to you to be the one to process and synergize and caretake and represent all the different forms of life on your planet and nurture and support and give life to all of these things along with them in a way that creates this holistic net to be amplified and magnified so that all life forms can pick up on the information they require to sustain themselves in the best possible way, the most beneficial possible way for all concerned. In a sense, you have the ability to actually become the frequency of the net itself, and thus, in any given situation or circumstance, connect into whatever kind of consciousness expression you need to, be it the trees, be it the animals, be it the rocks, by simply being sensitive enough to the fact that you are the synergizers to go within yourself and get more precise ability to tell the difference between the different frequencies that are expressed by the different forms of life, so that in honing in on those frequencies you can have the kinds of ongoing communication and exchange of information that is possible to have with all the different forms of life on your planet. You form your own nature social network on a certain resonant frequency that is itself representative of the combination of all the frequencies. Is this making some sense to you? Yes. All right. So the idea, again, is that, of course, everything expresses itself in a different way, a different modality. And it's about really tuning in and, in a sense, taking on the mantle of that modality and expressing it as strongly through your reflective aspects, your reflective nature as you possibly can, to strengthen and amplify and reinforce that modality for that form of life. So when you are learning to communicate with a dog, with a cat, with a bird, you are actually taking on the resonance, fine-tuning to that resonance, and reflecting it back in a way that actually starts a back and forth kind of energy beat. And in that energy beat, as it levels itself into that particular frequency, you then start to perceive communication in the form in which it is expressed from that animal, because you are expressing that aspect within yourself, because you contain all those frequencies that are representative of all the animals and all the trees and all the rocks and the sky and the sea and everything on your planet. So it's about becoming a very fine-tuned station, a very fine-tuned antenna, receiver, and transmitter, so that you can really start to perceive those different frequencies in a very fine-grained way and really lock into them much more strongly, so that you can amplify that vibration between yourself and the life form you are communicating with, and then start to really interpret and transceive the communication in the modality that it is expressing itself from, because you become like them. This is the secret of the shamans, in the sense of actually being able to tap into parallel realities in such a way that they actually represent themselves as the animal they are in communication with. This is the source of the idea of seeing shamans turn into birds, turn into jaguars, turn into various animals. It's not in a sense that any molecular rearrangement has happened. What is happening is that, like the sages that Willa has spoken of, they have the ability to understand their connection to parallel versions of themselves in parallel realities so strongly that they can actually represent themselves and bring in a representation from a parallel reality strongly enough that you actually perceive that parallel reality representation instead of the human form that was basically in the parallel reality that you inhabit. So they are presenting a reflective mirror so strongly that you think they have actually changed their shape. You follow me? But all you're getting is a reflection from a parallel reality, because the shaman is being a perfect mirror angled at just the correct angle to reflect that parallel reality expression of their consciousness from another parallel reality into your consciousness. So a shaman is a perfect mirror that operates at different angles, reflecting different realities to you. Do you understand? It is not about the idea of molecular change. That's not what shapeshifters do. They take advantage of this consciousness field in such a way as to extend beyond the consciousness field of what you consider to be your universe and go into the consciousness field of other universes, and therefore can reflect things and expressions of consciousness from those other parallel realities into the reality in which they originated. So this all comes down to the idea that you are ensconced in, embedded in, immersed in a titanic, infinite social network of energy webs at certain vibratory levels, and you can tap into these more consciously as you start to explore within yourself your caretaker nature to all of nature, and remind yourself again, first and foremost, that you are not above nature, not below nature, not separate from nature, but are nature. So find your natural selves. This is why we suggest to you in many occasions that it's not about finding out how to be normal. It's about finding out how to be your natural self, because your natural self is tapped in, does understand these connections, and when you relax the idea of what you think you're supposed to be and actually allow yourself to be what you are as nature expressed you, you will find yourself being a part of nature, not separate from it, and these kinds of communications and your ability to tap into nature's social network, you will find will already be inherent within your skills, your talents, your abilities to perceive this more and more readily. Does this make sense? All right. So let us proceed in a natural way and open up to the idea of sharing at this time, if you wish. As you prepare, we remind you of these things in brief bites to start just spurring your energy to consider different vibrations in such a way that it will, once the ball has started rolling, pick up its own momentum within you, because it will be of a nature where you will eventually recognize what it is, because you're already familiar with it on a certain level. And as you allow even just the beginning of these frequencies we are imparting to you today to start amplifying, or even consider them in your thoughts, it will start to rearrange your neurological net in such a way as to make it more easy for you to let that continue as a process and accelerate and amplify to its own ends, to whatever degree and whatever expression is relevant for you. You follow? Yes. All right.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My question is, what would happen if you come without, not by Daryl, but you on your physical form? What would happen?
If my physical form was cut?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No. If your physical form would come here. No. If you
would come to your planet?
Yes. Yes.
What would happen to whom? Someone like you?
To us.
Well, at this time, our energy frequency is so much higher than yours that if you were to stand in our presence, it would force all of the things within you that you might have segregated to come together and integrate, but in such a way that you might not be ready for, and it could cause what you would call psychic shock. Do you understand?
Yes.
That is why we give you this information, so that you can absorb the information and raise your frequency and allow your frequency to get closer to our frequency, so that we can blend together more harmoniously and so that our frequency won't overwhelm yours.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
However, I will say this. The children on your planet are far more ready than the adults to meet us, because they haven't forgotten as much of who they are, and their frequencies are already higher. And as we have reminded you before, the children that have been being born on your planet for some time now are not just a new generation, they are a different species. And they have different genetic codes that allow them to remember more of who they are and allow them to integrate more with other dimensional beings more smoothly, more easily. So this is one of the reasons why the idea of the hybrid children coming to your planet to live among you will find that some of the first ambassador connections they will make will be to children on your planet before the adults.
Good day, Bashar.
And you, good day.
So the last time that we spoke at an event, you had a message for me. The hybrid children called me Nature Bunny.
Yes.
And I wanted to see, I kind of interpreted that. Obviously, I have a very close connection, as we all are, nature.
Yes.
But animals in specific. And I wanted to see if you could elaborate on that a little more.
Well, so far, what have you elaborated about that?
Just what I said, that I feel really connected, especially to animals,
Yes.
trees.
And what do you do with that connection?
Just enjoy it and
Just
savor
enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Well, connect with them on a I feel like it's a telepathic relationship, especially with my pets, my dogs.
Yes.
And mostly marine mammals, dolphins and whales,
All
more
right.
specifically.
And that's one expression of your passion in life?
Yes.
Are there others?
No, I think that's it with nature. Just being in nature, obviously. I love the energy and I love appreciating nature.
All right. And is there a way that you can also use this to serve others who may not be aware that this is possible?
Yeah, so I have a background of working with marine mammals in a different environment that it doesn't resonate with me anymore. So I feel like at some point in my life, I'll do that again, where I'll be in a wild environment where I'll connect with them and have people connect with them.
All right.
But I don't feel like that's something I want to do right at this moment. I feel
Because?
I feel like I have something that's more exciting to me right now that I want to focus on.
All right. If I may just
Sure.
double check with you.
Okay.
Are you sure that you're not dampening the excitement of doing that by having a definition of it that dampens the excitement?
Well, I just have this vision that it'll be like, I feel like it'll be later in my life. I don't know why. It just feels stronger that maybe the world will be ready for it, or there'll be more.
May I ask you another question?
Sure.
How will the world be ready for it if you don't help make it ready?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Well, because my highest excitement is to live where I live right now, and
Yes.
and because of the marine mammal protection laws, we
Yes.
can't be in the water with them legally. So
Yes. But you can connect to other animals.
sure.
And can you not also create an environment where other people can go with you to learn to connect to animals?
Sure.
You don't sound excited about that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that exciting to me right now. I don't know. I feel like it's not something that want to go do tomorrow. I feel like I have something else that's really calling me right now that I'm doing.
The thing you've already described, or something else yet again?
Something else altogether.
Which would be what?
More or less working directly with people, not so much animals, and helping them develop just really tune to their true nature and
Isn't
honor
that what I just suggested?
I guess I see that evolving into working with animals too and people.
Yes.
But right now I feel like people are.
And so what are you doing about that? That's what
Yeah.
we've been asking you for the past couple of minutes.
Okay, so I'm developing a program to basically.
Oh, there you
make
go.
available.
Thank you.
Sure.
What was all the foot dragging about?
I don't know. I guess I wasn't tapping into the question or
All
really
right.
getting the answer.
So now you understand that this is also another aspect of the expression of your excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
absolutely.
that's what we meant when we originally asked you, what are you doing about that?
Okay, I got you.
Thank you. Now, so what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm developing a program and it has a life of its own. It just
Yes.
keeps expanding.
All right.
The cooperative components keep filling in, and as I'm
All right.
working on it and building it, it just keeps growing. And
All right. And now you've tapped into the idea of why you were called Nature Bunny. What do bunnies do? Multiply. So you've taken the nature energy and you have found through the expressions of your excitement ways to amplify and multiply that for others.
that's
Yes?
pretty good. Yeah.
So there you
I
go.
like that. Thank you.
Does that help?
It helps a lot. Thank you very much.
Is that it?
No.
All right.
I have had an experience about a week and a half ago. I was out on the water, and there was about 150 people on a boat.
Yes.
It was a whale watching boat. And there was a Rizzo's dolphin popped up at the very corner and just kind of looked at me. And it was
Yes.
just only one other person that saw the dolphin, the
Yes.
Rizzo's dolphin. And I felt like it was such just a unique exchange
Yes.
of, hey, I'm here, and
Yes.
then took off. But I feel like there was more to it that I
Well, it's what in ancient times someone might have referred to as your animal totem. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So there is a specific frequency resonance between you and that particular type of being that represents a part of your own nature that you can tap into more strongly by remembering that encounter. Because every time you remember that encounter, you will be back in that energy state, even if it feels different. And you can come from that energy state more powerfully. In other words, the animal, the dolphin, is helping you to amplify what you're doing in other areas. By tapping into that encounter, that will help actually amplify your ability to do everything else you're doing.
That's beautiful.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good reflection of how I've been feeling.
Yes, all right.
Very good. And then my
Yes.
last statement would be lucid dreaming. So I have most of my lucid dreams. I'm on a cruise ship and I'm flying and I'm going off my balcony and going into the water with whales.
Yes.
And there's a very
And you are aware that you're dreaming when you're doing this?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And so one whale in particular, it's the albino humpback.
Yes.
So I feel a really strong connection with that whale as well. Do you have anything for
Has to do with ancient culture connections you also have. And it's also representative of the pursuit of a dream.
That's good.
Yes?
That's
you
perfect.
understand?
I got all that.
Does this help you, Nature Bunny?
Yeah. Thank you.
Then please hop along.
All right. Thanks.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Thank you. Just want to take a breath. It's my first time seeing you live. It's very special.
Well, you're not really seeing me live directly, but we understand.
Right. Okay. So I had a couple different experiences with dolphins.
Yes.
When I was swimming in open water with two wild dolphins, and
As opposed to swimming in closed water.
right.
All right.
Yes. Well, it wasn't in a marina.
I understand.
And so I had this one moment. They were swimming so very close to me, and
Yes.
although I thought at the time it was just one, I didn't realize there was actually two. And
Yes.
I was told, don't reach out and touch them.
Yes.
Because they'll whap you with their tail. And so I was pulling my hands back, and they were coming so close to me that I had to try not to touch.
All right.
And at one point, like I'm floating on the surface of the water and looking down, and one stopped immediately below me and was on its side looking up at me and just stopped.
Yes.
And the whole world stopped. And we just had this exchange that was
All right. How exciting.
so exciting. And then, and it just felt like a total spiritual experience. Like I got
Yes.
the intelligence behind
Yes.
the eyes
Well,
of
it was
this creature.
spiritual, physical. Physical, spiritual. Yes.
Yes.
It formed a bridge and a link between the idea of as above, so below.
So great.
And by the way, the dolphins understand that you have been told not to touch them. So they were messing with you a little bit. Let's see how close we can get, knowing that she's going to have to bend herself and twist herself to not touch us.
Yeah. It felt like that.
So they were playing a little
taunting
bit.
me. Yeah. It was great.
Yes.
And then I had this other experience where I was on a whale watching tour boat, and on the way to find the whale, there was what they called a megapod of dolphins. There were about 15 around the boat, and then I saw this megapod
Yes.
all swimming in one direction, and I realized, ooh, we're going to converge.
Yes.
And I said to my friend at the time, oh, we're going to hit them, as in we're going to meet them if we keep going the same trajectory. And the second I said that, they all at once,
Yes.
hundreds and hundreds of
Like a
dolphins,
flock.
like a flock,
Yes.
and pointed towards us, and then started swimming towards us. And
Yes.
it was so emotional and
Yes.
unbelievable, like 15 dolphins jumping out of the.
Well, it's very
it was
believable.
crazy
When you're
And-
operating on that frequency.
yeah, and it was such a powerful experience, and it
Yes.
felt to me, the story I'm telling myself is that in that moment when I said, oh, we're going to run into them,
Yes.
they heard that and go, oh, we're going to run into you.
In a sense, yes. They
and-
picked up on that particular frequency. Yes.
And I guess my question around this is I've felt that power of communication
Yes.
not in actual words, but a connection.
Well, yes,
with
most of it is
animals.
not in words.
Right. And just sort of like a connection with those animals. And when I go to do it deliberately, like with my cat, or I used to pet sit a lot with, say, dogs or something.
You
And
used to sit on your pets?
I used to look after animals for their
all right.
owners. And
Thought maybe that was another bizarre tradition on your planet. Welcome to the pet sitting conference. Ready? Sit on your pets.
I don't think they
Don't
would
worry,
like that.
we're only joking. Dog was a little nervous there for a moment.
And so when I actually go to consciously communicate with an animal to find out, what is it that you want, and really trying to get a message, I can't do it.
Be cautious because you're thinking in human terms when you say, what is it you want? That's a very human expression.
Oh, okay.
And it is not of the wavelength of the communication that they are on.
So how do I find that wavelength?
You find the wavelength, and this is a good suggestion for all of you that are involved in these kind of interactions with all animals, but specifically as we're discussing with the dolphins and the whales. It's easier to find the wavelength and easier even to physically find them wherever they may be by first finding the dolphin and the whale within yourself. As we originally talked about in this transmission, you contain all these frequencies. You need to find the frequencies within yourself that represent the dolphin and whale version of yourselves. And in finding then that frequency and radiating that frequency, you will be in communication more strongly with them, and it will also act in a sense like a radar to point you in the direction of where they physically are, because you'll get a feedback ping, like a submarine, you understand? You're giving off that ping, they'll respond. But you have to find the whale and dolphin within yourself and use that as your compass needle.
I love that,
It's
yes.
not about going, what do you guys want? They don't understand nor relate to the idea of human wants. That's completely alien to them.
Right. That
Make
makes
sense?
sense, yes, because
All right.
with the dolphins, I was feeling very inquisitive and
Yes.
playful.
Yes.
And of
That's
course they
more
match that.
close to the idea of their frequency, but there is more to it than that.
Okay.
Take some time to find the vibrational frequency of the dolphin and the whale within yourself, and you'll know what we mean when you home in on it. It would also, in some senses, because you're used to this analogy, for some people, not everyone, for some people it might actually also work to use the analogy we made of a submarine sonar. Knowing that you're actually giving off, you're pinging that particular frequency. Once you know that you're on that level, then you will get the response, you'll get the feedback. All right?
Yes,
Does
and
that help?
it does.
All right.
When you say feedback, do you mean almost like a download, just a knowing?
It can be on many levels. It can be just a knowing, oh, there they are. Oh, I've made a connection. And it also can contain downloads of information. It just depends.
Right. Thank you very much. It's so helpful.
You're welcome.
It's been delightful. Appreciate
It
it.
has been lightful. You don't want to delight anybody. Keep your light on.
Hello, Bashar.
And you, good day.
Good day. I am particularly very curious about Lemuria
Yes.
and my current incarnation there. I was informed by a channeler that I had a specific connection to nature that I brought to that civilization.
Well, the Lemurians were all about being part of nature. That
Okay.
was really their nature. They
Okay.
were not in any way, shape, or form. The idea that they would even be separate from nature would have been even too foreign for them to have conceived of.
Okay.
They lived in nature.
Okay.
They were very natural people.
And can you tell me more about...
At the time, they were very slightly tinged blue in the skin because they represented one of the earliest expressions of the Anunnaki genes that had been injected into the idea of the hominid form on your planet to create Homo sapien.
Wow.
You follow me?
Yes.
And so left to their own devices, they developed a culture that was based very strongly on nature because they lived in nature. They didn't really make a lot of structures in that sense. They had what you would consider to be a relatively paradisical kind of reality, similar to the idea of some of your South Sea islands and Hawaii and things like that, where you don't necessarily need much shelter. You understand?
Okay.
Because the atmosphere is so very pleasant and so very accommodating.
Okay.
So most of the ancient Lemurian civilization, or as they actually referred to themselves, Mu. Lemuria is a later word, coined in your more recent history for the idea of an area that is no longer above the ocean that in their ancient tongue was called Mu. You understand?
Yes.
So, but again, they were a little taller than most of you are right now, averaging around 7 feet, some of them 8, a few even taller.
Okay.
But again, the idea is that they were very natural. Now, we know that one of your popular science fiction movies called Avatar sort of represents this idea. It's not what they look like, but it does contain elements that are a racial memory of that time, and therefore has been presented to you to sort of spark that vibration in you and let you know that the cycle is coming back around, where you are gathering more of that memory together and starting to understand where you came from and where you're going. So the beings in that science fiction movie were represented as very tall. They were represented as very blue. The Lemurians were not that blue. They were slightly blue tinged, very slightly, because again of the Anunnaki blood. And this is where the idea of what you call blue bloods comes from. It's the ancient lineage, the ancient bloodline of the Anunnaki that, in a sense, you saw as the gods that ruled the earth. So the idea of the blue bloods, of course, having been diluted and distilled down over time, still thinking of themselves as the rightful rulers of the earth. You understand?
Wow.
So that's where all the idea of the kings came from, the pharaohs came from, that whole idea of the blue blood lineage.
Wow.
You follow?
Yes.
All right. So, does this help?
Yeah, I'm curious about what did I do there? My
It's
purpose,
not you.
or
It's
okay.
not you. You understand how we talk about the idea of reincarnation, yes?
Okay. Yes.
Reincarnation is an illusion.
Okay, then the soul I'm connecting to.
The people you are connecting to. It's
Okay.
not just one, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Some may stand out more than others at a given time, but the idea of those connections is that they are dynamic, not static. They're constantly changing as you change. This is why it may be confusing to people who understand reincarnation from the old-fashioned point of view to suddenly realize that at one moment somebody may say, well, you have a past life here as so and such, and then another person may say to the same person about the same area, well, no, you have a life here, you have a life there. It's dynamically changing. It's not a static thing. That's a misunderstanding.
Okay.
So, anyway, the one that stands out that you are making the connection to right now is someone that worked very strongly with their hands creatively.
Oh my God. Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Well, you're
Crystal.
tapping into that. So the idea is forming things in nature, arranging them, putting together, creating things that would serve certain purposes, but they used their hands to gather these things together and arrange them in ways that were artistic, but also energy expressive.
Wow.
Yes?
Yes.
Does this help you?
A lot. Yes.
All right, so you're drawing on that experience to aid and assist you in the experience that you've chosen here as part of your theme of exploration.
Wow.
That's why you're making that connection.
That's amazing. Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, a lot. I had another question about the oversoul. How many people
Yes.
would be connected to like one oversoul?
Well, again, that fluctuates dynamically. But let's say on average, this is an average, it's always changing. Please understand that. It is not a fixed number. But a way to represent this would be to say that of the over 7 billion people on your planet, that's only really representative, and it depends on the level you're talking about of oversoul, but it's only representative on the level that is relevant for you of about 500 to 600,000 oversouls. Wow. So there's that many extensions of oversouls that are concurrent on your planet.
I see.
So you can do the math.
So my question in related to that would be, can I run into somebody of the same?
Oh, you often all do,
Okay.
but you don't necessarily know that they're an
Right.
extension of the same oversoul. And in many cases, you don't need to know that.
Right. And then what does like the doppelganger have to do with that? How does that relate?
Well, a doppelganger can be an extension of the same oversoul that, for the purpose that needs to be served, is more obviously reflective.
Okay.
Because there is some purpose in creating a more obvious reflection. It gives you some insight into yourself by seeing a version of yourself outside of yourself. Because you think of physical reality as outside, and therefore can create a mirror reflection that is so literal in many cases that it forces you to face the idea of certain reflections about yourself.
Wow. Okay.
So it's one of the clever ways you have of doing those kinds of things, of looking into yourself.
Okay. And
Does
then
that help?
Yes, it does. And I had one quick question, last
Yes.
one. I just wanted to know if any other alien species other than humans have tattoos.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
There are actually quite a few. Now, they're not made all the same way that yours are made,
Okay.
but there are definitely many other species we are familiar with within the Interstellar Alliance that have markings that you would consider to be artificial markings on their bodies for a variety of reasons. Now, in your own future, as you call it, coming up, you will find that you will be inventing removable tattoos. And I mean literally instantly, in the sense that you can move them around.
Oh my gosh.
So you can have a tattoo and you can touch it in a certain way and lift it on your fingers
Wow.
and put it on someone else's arm. And it will stay. You'll invent those soon enough.
Wow.
So you can mix and match and exchange and use it like fashion more readily.
Wow.
This is coming up in your technology.
Can't wait for that one.
Well, sorry, you'll have to. Does this help you?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania,
We're actually having a technical difficulty at the moment.
a technical challenge?
A challenge. Oh, of course.
All right. What would you like to do in the meantime?
Explore.
What?
More about animals and nature.
All right. We will tell you this. We will give you a preview of coming attractions.
Okay.
Would you like that?
Uh-huh.
Not right now. We'll let you know when, but we will be designing and creating something called the Bashar Explorers Club. And this will be for the purpose of exploring many things, not only the idea of your connections to nature, but the idea of your connections to many other extraterrestrial beings. That will be coming down the line.
That's exciting.
Yes, it is.
So how are things on your end?
Sitting pretty.
It's good to hear that. How are things very cosmic there?
Do you have to ask?
Like when you see the world like you do right now.
Your world?
Like what the experience you're having right this moment.
Yes.
What are you seeing?
We are seeing a matrix of interacting lines of energy patterns that represent each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively, plus the energy patterns that represent your higher selves, the energy patterns that connect you to your oversouls, the energy patterns that connect you to different aspects in nature, the energy patterns that connect you to different parallel reality versions of yourself, the energy patterns that connect you through the idea you call space and time to other experiences in other dimensions. All those energy patterns and what needs to stand out at any given moment stands out in a way that represents a kind of language to us that we have learned to read. We will demonstrate more clearly, again, some point in the future, how to read that language to you.
And am I correct in thinking that that's just one portion of your consciousness?
Yes. Many of you really may think of us in what you call a classic science fiction sense as a bunch of aliens walking around on a planet and being in spaceships. You actually have no idea what our world is actually like. We are very multidimensional, and it cannot really be described to you. What we just gave you is the very barest hint of how we experience our reality. We are constantly walking through doorways of multiple parallel realities as par for the course. We are literally moving, consciously moving through a variety, consciously navigating through a variety of parallel reality streams as our nature, as the way we experience reality. So it would be like, perhaps, a closest analogy, a very simplistic analogy, would be to think of what had happened to you 10 years ago. What happened to you the day after that, the day after that, the day after that, the day after that, for the last 10 years, all the way up to the present, and have that all overlap every day. All of it overlapping every day, so that you're perceiving everything from every day that happened for the last 10 years, all at once, as you walk through life, interacting with different versions of yourself, different beings that connected with you at different times, for different purposes, but all at once. Is this making some sense in translation? So it's like swimming through an endless sea of probabilities that are actually realizing themselves in what appear to be physical experiences, actually walking through the dream. Does this make sense? All right. It will take you a while to get used to something like that. And even when the time comes when you may set foot upon our planet to visit, you will only be seeing at first a fraction of the skin of our world. When you go deeper, as a Sasani, you will see the depths to which all worlds really go. And you will see the nature of what you're actually walking through all the time, because you're doing it too. It's just that only a fragment of it is conscious to you. 99.999% of what is actually around you is invisible to you. But you're expanding your consciousness and allowing more of it to become visible. Does that help?
Yes, this realization, I think, is one of the great shockers, because everybody was thinking, oh yeah, there's a bunch of aliens on another planet and they're going to come. And
that is one aspect of us that you can perceive, but it's not all that we are.
It seems like the reality is, the more that your consciousness expands and you become aware of multiple dimensions, other beings in other dimensions and things like that, this is truly the contact experience, the growth of consciousness into dimensions that initially at the level we were understanding space contact at, it didn't really include that dimension of the experience.
Yes, but now you're beginning to understand that extraterrestrial contact is really extra-dimensional contact as well. It's extra consciousness contact. It happens on multiple levels of dimensionality, not just the physical surface.
That's really exciting. That's just great that the universe works this way. It
is
such
very
a great
multi-layered,
surprise.
and you can sample as many slices of it as you wish. Are your technical challenges now complete?
Well, yes, they are.
All right.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello.
And a you good day.
Thank you. That was incredible what you were just talking about.
Oh, it's quite credible.
I've had a couple experiences, just slight, where while reading some Jane Roberts books years ago, I had these many, many, many layered experiences where I felt everything was the littlest edge of what you
Yes.
spoke of. So if I go back to that, I can
Maybe.
acclimate and
Yes.
expand further. And
Maybe, yes. It doesn't have to necessarily feel identical to that moment. But in remembering that moment, you can know that you're in the proper state to continue to expand from there.
Right, because when I was there, I created it where I was just relaxing and allowing, and it
Yes.
was all future past, all was going on. But
Yes.
at other times, it feels, or it can feel like a loss of control. There's so much.
We understand
Yeah.
it can feel that way, but it isn't that you're out of control. It's just that you're in unfamiliar territory. You can get used to it.
Just breathe and
Just breathe,
relax and laugh.
Open up and trust that there is an automatic guiding mechanism within you called synchronicity that will give you, as an organizing principle, exactly as much as you can handle, exactly when you can handle it.
Good, that's good.
So just relax into it and go with the flow. The flow will take you where you need to go.
Okay.
Yes?
And yes, that's very good.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Also, I was struck when you used the word
Oh, did it hurt?
no. Okay, that's so good. I love your literal things. Transceive.
Yes,
and the shamans.
Yes.
And I wanted to know, when you're talking about the dolphins
Yes.
and finding the inner dolphin,
Yes.
a long time ago, my partner and I sold everything and left and went traveling camping in nature for 15 years with
Yes.
no people and no phone and
Well,
wandering
there were
around.
people. There was you.
Right. Well, there were people around, but
Yes.
it wasn't as like it is now.
Oh, all right.
It's different. It was in nature more than I am. There were people. You're so right. But it was a lot of campgrounds here and in Europe,
Yes.
and I love nature so much, and I love
Nature
plants.
loves you.
And I always feel a part of nature, and always felt so.
All right.
So basically, I want to be able to use or understand what I do know and expand upon my own abilities to tap in, and how to
All right.
know and how to find the inner dolphin, you said. And is
Do you
it
want
through
me to tell you how to find the inner dolphin?
But the part I got myself sitting here listening was
Yes.
imagination,
Yes.
or I didn't know if just looking at pictures, or how do you do it?
Whatever permission slip works for you. And of course, always the formula of following your passion to the best of your ability with no insistence on a particular outcome. You already know that, yes?
Yes.
All right,
yes.
so all of that and the permission slip idea of whatever permission slip you're attracted to because that's the one that will work for you. But I can also give you some very specific instruction if you would like.
Yes, I would.
Oh, all right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm
All right.
ready. The dolphins.
Now you have to translate that.
You're telling me how fun I am. Just kidding. Okay. What did you say?
No, I didn't ask you to repeat it. I
saying-
asked you to translate it for yourself in your own terms.
In my own term.
That is your home fun. We don't call it homework, we call it home fun. So, take the vibrations we just gave you as a very specific instruction through the vibration of finding the dolphin within us to finding the dolphin within you. Doesn't mean you have to talk that way. We're just giving you a frequency to home in on.
So that tone and that sound is holding the frequency.
Yes, and the frequency holds the information that you need. So we've given you a little bit of a puzzle to decode.
Can you do it one more time? I love it. Okay. Can you do another animal?
Did you hear it?
No! or something?
Yes, high frequency sonar.
It was?
Yes. See, you picked up on
I
it.
picked up on it, but see, I'm not aware that I think I'm just joking.
And there's a lesson for you there, isn't there?
I guess so.
I know so.
Do another one.
Nope.
No, okay. But thank you for doing that.
You are welcome.
And the lesson,
Does that serve you?
very much so.
All right, well, now I'll do a human communication. Please take your seat.
Really? You're done with me?
Bye-bye.
Hello, Bashar.
And a you good day.
When you were describing to April how a day is for you and all the multidimensional levels,
Yes.
I immediately resonated with that because when I love to snowshoe. It's one of the things that makes me very excited. When I get to the top of the mountain, that's what I experience.
Yes.
And the mountains that I have done that on have communicated to me
Yes.
that is part of one of their missions in life is to bring people to that level so they can understand that they are.
Yes, they provide a higher perspective. But the paradox, of course, is that in providing a higher perspective, the communication is actually taking place on a deep resonant field. So there is polarity there,
Okay.
which is also representative of the poles of the planet.
Okay. Thank you, Bashar. That was bringing me to another point. So when I'm on top of the mountain and I'm seeing all that is, because that's what I call
Well,
it,
as much as you can
Yes.
interpret in your
Yes.
reality, yes.
is my energy, my vibration, going to the core of those poles because that's what I feel.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's amping you up, amping your vibrational resonance up so that you can express more of yourself.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Yes, our pleasure.
I have another question for you.
Yes.
And it's related to terraforming.
Terraforming,
Yes, because with the elements, the four that I know of on Earth, I know there's more, but the four that we're familiar with, I work with them and
The four?
air.
Oh, you're
water.
talking about that kind of elemental
Yes.
idea,
Yes.
not your periodic table.
Right. And I speak to them and ask
Yes,
them.
yes. You're talking about elementals.
Yes, the elementals.
Yes.
So, is that the basis for terraforming? Is creating that relationship with air, with earth, with water?
Well, you have to create the relationship with those basics of any particular planet, yes.
And then that allows you to be able to ask them to.
Yes, to
Terraform.
be able to do it in a relevant way if that is simply something that is relevant to happen. It may not always be. But if it is relevant, then yes, the planetary body itself can actually guide you in the idea of terraforming in a way that will actually express nature in the best possible way. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So that brings me to the Band of Peace. Are you familiar with the Band of Peace in Egypt?
Define.
The area between Giza.
Oh, yes. All right.
So Abu Rawash, I had a question about that. I saw a documentary, and they talked about that particular pyramid being such a mystery because it was open air, and the stones were so massive, and
Yes.
they were investigating whether they used it for sound therapy. They weren't sure what they used it for. So I wanted to ask you.
There are many uses to some of the more ancient versions of the pyramid that all do have to do with alignment, with resonance, with connections to extraterrestrial sources vibrationally, with the ability to amplify your energy in such a way as to promote lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences, for initiations into what was called the priesthood at the time, and learning the secrets of resonance and vibration and frequency, and how all things are connected and expressions of one thing. All of those things are part and parcel of the construction of the more ancient versions of those structures, as well as being a historical monument to mark the idea of certain cycles on your planet that have to do with the rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall of different civilizations due to what you would call natural disasters and asteroidal and cometary impacts and all sorts of different cycles on your planet.
Okay, that's wonderful. One last question.
Yes.
I had an experience when I was meditating where I was taken up into a group It was like
Yes.
kind of like the White Brotherhood.
Well, sort of. We understand
Galactic.
that's an interpretation.
Right, it's a galactic group. And they
Sort of. That's also an interpretation.
Yes. And they told me that one of my main purposes was to bring people together on a galactic level.
All right.
And
One
so-
of the expressions
Yes.
of your purpose.
Yes.
Your purpose is just to be yourself.
Yes. And so I was wondering in regards to nature,
Yes.
if because I feel very strongly that my life purpose, one of my
Expressions.
expressions of my life purpose is to create sacred parks where people can come and
All right.
raise their energy and at the same time give energy to the earth.
Yes.
Back.
So go ahead.
Yes. But what I wanted to ask you
Yes.
in that regard was that when I was with them
Yes.
and they were explaining that to me
Yes.
and then relating it to an earth level,
Yes.
does that mean I'm also doing that on other planetary levels, like on
You
Venus?
have connections to beings doing it on other planetary levels, so you can draw inspiration, energy, and information from them as to how best to do it on this planet, yes.
Okay. And one more question. Do I have any hybrid children?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, you can tap into them too, and they can also be very instructive as to how to best express that idea on the earth as well.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Okay.
3 of them in particular.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
think of them as a triad.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings, Nevo.
And to you, good day.
Very excited to be here. I have a question. I have 2 big passions in my life.
Yes.
One is cooking, and the other one is being a part of this channeling group
Yes.
that I go to. We have we talk about channeling and different things, different aspects of
All right.
ourselves, 6 days a week.
Yes.
However, my family find it a little bit odd.
So,
Okay, so it's a little bit isolating. It's kind of a difficult thing
are
to.
you defining the idea of isolation in a negative way?
I guess I am.
Why? If it's not vibrationally compatible for them, if it's not their path, so what?
So how do I keep them in my life?
Who says you have to?
Okay, all right.
You can by allowing them to be who they are, whether they allow you to be who you are or not. But if you find that simply completely vibrationally incompatible with what you prefer in terms of the interactions you have in your life, who says that you have to hang around them? Who says they have to be in your life?
But what if I want them to be in my life?
What you want is not necessarily what you need.
Okay.
Are you willing to understand that your need is more important than what you may want?
Yes. And I guess following my highest joy, if it's
going to be that they choose to stay in the life, then they will make their choices. If they make other choices, you have to know that that's actually what serves them best. So are you supporting them unconditionally in the same way you would like them to support you unconditionally or not? Or are you just being conditional in the way that they are by not allowing them to take their path, even if it's different than yours, to the point where you don't interact with them? I'm not saying it has to happen that way, but are you willing to be that unconditional?
I am right now. I'm allowing them to do what they need to do and kind of pulling myself out of it. But there's,
Yes.
it almost feels like
There would be no but to that if you were being unconditional.
okay, them swarming back at me and trying to get me back into their lives.
But you know, if that's not for you, then the idea is being who you truly are, being true to yourself, tells them who they would be in a relationship with.
Right.
So being true to yourself gives them the option to truly decide whether they really want to be in a relationship with the real you or just in a relationship with who they want you to be, which means they're not in a relationship with you anyway.
Right.
You understand the paradox here?
Yeah.
When someone tries to be in a relationship with someone in trying to make them who they think they should be, they are not in a relationship with the real person anyway.
Yeah.
So, if you actually want to give them an opportunity to actually be in a relationship, a real relationship with the real you, then you have to be the real you so that they will know who it is they are choosing to be or not to be in a relationship with. And that gives them the freedom to choose, and it gives you the freedom to be who you prefer to be.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean you're not in a relationship with them on higher levels anyway. It doesn't have to always express itself in the physical reality to know that they're still part of your soul family, and that after the life, you'll all have a good laugh about it.
Okay.
You understand? It's
Yeah.
just a play. You're reading your lines, they're reading their lines, and once the play is over, you will get together and realize that there is reality on a higher level, and the relationships on that level can never be broken.
Right.
But while you're in the play, maybe that's just the way the play needs to go, so that the audience can go, ooh, ah, how exciting this play is. Ooh, look at the drama.
Okay. My second question is, I've been told that I have 5 hybrid children.
Do you want me to respond to that or something?
Do I have 5 hybrid children?
Why do you need to ask?
Okay.
What did you feel when you were told that?
Resonation, and I do have lucid dreamings with them.
Well, then why are you asking us? Since
Okay.
you already know.
Alrighty, Roo. Well, okay. So do I, just to communicate with them, it's just lucid dreaming and connecting with them? Is that how you connect
The
with
more you are your true self, the true self would be more capable of communicating with them. How can you communicate with them when you're not being who you actually are?
them? Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Because then who would they be talking to? That's not our mom.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is. Now that she's being her real self, now they can hear you. You understand?
Yeah.
And you'll be able to hear them in whatever way that works.
And just my last question is, when you talk about the oversouls, can you call that, because we in our class call that the whole, meaning it's the
Well,
whole.
saying the whole, from our perspective, would be more of a reference to all that is.
Right. Okay.
Now, all that is, in a sense, you could say, is the grandest level of oversoul, although, of course, it never really actually ends. We just have to frame this in your language. But there can be different levels of oversoul. So if you want to call it a whole, that's fine, but understand that there are different levels of that.
Okay.
Therefore, it depends on how you're framing the term the whole. Because you could say there is a whole, and there's a whole of holes, and a whole of holes. And when you start going in that direction, you start digging yourself into a hole.
I think what I meant was your whole self. So, for example, I'm a part of a whole, as we were talking about.
But your
cells.
whole self, your truly whole self, is all that is.
Okay.
You are all that is.
Right.
Yes?
Yeah.
But you can have different levels of the whole within the whole.
Okay.
Yes? So
Yes.
holes within holes.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello?
And you good day.
Give me 5 seconds, please. I need to.
1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005.
I'm super excited to be here,
Oh, all right.
and it's a very funny feeling I've got now.
Yes.
For the first time, I feel my heart pumping my blood, which is
Oh, how exciting.
super exciting.
Yes.
I would like to speak a little bit about crystals,
Yes.
if you don't mind.
You understand that they're permission slips, yes?
Yes.
All right. Now, they do represent a certain expression of energy. Nevertheless, they are permission slips that can be used in a variety of ways. But do go ahead.
May I first ask you why, is it particular reason why you're sitting in between two of them now?
Well, I'm not sitting between two of them. The channel's body is. Nevertheless, they are there because they are pretty.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I have my crystal with me now.
Yes.
Some time ago, I felt very inspired to
Yes.
buy it.
Obviously, the crystals do resonate a certain field in a certain way that can aid and assist in the creation of an appropriate atmosphere for the goings-on. But the idea, again, is nevertheless they are permission slips, and mostly, in a sense, for the purpose not only of providing an atmosphere that is representative of what's happening in terms of the exchange of communication between different levels of dimensionality and consciousness that's going on here, but they also set up literally a visual guideline for the idea of energy, of balance, of color, of light, and can be used simply for what you would call visual effect.
Yeah, I was trying to connect with my crystal somehow. I feel strong connection with it.
Yes. Well, again, that involves finding the crystal within you and vibrating at that resonant harmonic that is representative of the exterior representation or reflection of the crystal. Yes?
Is it anyhow connected with the idea of silent communication or telepathic communication?
Yes, of course, because telepathy is telepathy. You have to be on the same wavelength as something to have the same thoughts at the same time. Telepathy isn't reading something else's mind, it's being on the same wavelength and having the same thought at the same time. That's why when you're on the same wavelength, when you're on that frequency, you know what others are thinking. That's why people who are in love know what each other is thinking quite often, finish each other's sentences quite often, because they're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, that would mean in order to tap into the vibration of my crystal,
you have to be in love with it.
Yeah, I am.
All right. Then that's why you're able to tap into it.
Okay.
Anything else?
Maybe just I would like to express my gratitude for your message. I was following you for many years, and that brought me to this moment, which is beautiful.
Well, thank you for bringing yourself to this moment, but we are happy to participate, and our deep appreciation and gratitude to you as well for creating the reality that you prefer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Being yourself makes all the difference in your world.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
So when I was young, I had loads of energy.
Loads of
Yeah, and probably around when I was 20, I started to smoke a lot of marijuana.
Oh, all right.
And I'd say almost half of my life now that I'm stopping, I feel like I've lost a lot of energy, and I'm just wondering how I can get that back.
You've just rerouted it in a way that you're unfamiliar with. But you'll gain it back when you understand how to use the information and knowledge that the teacher taught you in new ways for yourself and start acting on your passion. It'll come back. It'll amplify. It's not gone anywhere. You're just not really paying attention to the courses that it's taking through you yet. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Well, I'll ask you a question in a different framework. In your life, are you acting on your highest passion every moment that you can with no insistence on the outcome? Hesitation usually means no. Do you understand?
I do understand.
And you understand that that's the formula, yes?
Yeah.
So what is stopping you from acting on your highest passion?
I think too much about...
And why do you do that? Are you afraid to act on your highest passion and use thinking as a way to avoid doing so?
Probably.
Why would you do that? What are you afraid will happen if you act on your highest passion? What are you afraid will happen if you allow yourself to be who you truly are? What are you afraid of?
I have no idea.
Sure you do. None of you can ever get away with that phrase.
Okay, I do know. I'm afraid of being judged.
By whom? By people that don't know even anything about you, that aren't living your life? How can they possibly judge you when they have absolutely no understanding of what your life is all about?
Right.
I guess what you're actually saying is you're judging yourself.
Yeah.
Why would you be doing that? Do you find yourself undeserving and unworthy of life? Of acting on your joy?
Not in my true nature.
Yet?
I tend to hide.
Tend or choose?
Yeah.
You see, tend is an excuse because you say, I have a tendency, I can't help it.
Right.
Sure you can.
And then,
it's a choice.
Am I making an excuse then of...
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm asking you, what's the excuse? The excuse is usually covering up the fear of what you believe will happen if you actually move forward, and therefore you create a reason to not do so. You create an excuse to not do so.
So did I choose the excuse that marijuana slowed me down?
Yes.
Ah.
When it doesn't have to be used that way. The teachers that you use give you a vibration that allows you to tap into different states of being of yourself. But the idea is that they're teaching you how to tap into those states on your own without the teacher.
Right.
So now that you understand you don't necessarily need the teacher, it's up to you to tap into the states that are appropriate for you, and the easiest way to find out what those states are and what those expressions are is to act on your highest passion to the best that you are able, with absolutely no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome should look like. And if you are afraid to do so, then it's your opportunity to look at your belief systems and your definitions that would prevent you from being yourself.
Right.
And find out why you would hold on to something like that when you can see that it doesn't serve you.
Okay.
That's the process.
Yeah.
Yes?
One more question?
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit about being awake at night? Like I get a lot of inspiration just in the middle of the night.
Well, that might be your natural biological cycle. Who says you have to be asleep at night?
Right.
Many
So should I
people's
just follow
natural
that?
biological cycles is that they're actually quite active and wide awake at night,
Yeah.
and they are sleepy during the day. You have to follow your natural flow in order to act efficiently in your life, regardless of what your society may say is normal.
Right.
Because it's about being what? Natural.
Right, right.
Yes?
So
So
just
that
go
might
with
be more
that flow.
natural for
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank
Or
you
are
so
you
much.
judging yourself for that too?
No, I'm curious about it because
All right.
I create very much at night.
Well,
And
there you go. Isn't that
Yeah.
obvious then?
yeah.
All right. Well, then let these things be obvious.
Okay.
It's not a mystery. Oh, I'm awake in the middle of the night. I'm very much more active. I'm very much more creative. I'm very much more inspired. Gee,
Yeah.
I guess that's what's supposed to be happening.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Brilliant.
Don't overthink it, okay?
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, hi Nevo.
And to you, good day.
It's really cool talking to you.
Oh, all right. Cool that we're talking to you as well.
I like your energy, it's really intense. So I want to explore shamanism
Yes.
and like plant medicine and stuff.
Yes, yes, yes.
And when it comes to certain plants like ayahuasca,
The
peyote,
teachers, yes, as we have just named them earlier in the last conversation, the teachers that grow naturally upon your planet to put you in touch with different altered states that benefit you in understanding how you're connected to different dimensions, yes.
Yeah, so that's, in my understanding, that's a permission slip.
It is a permission slip, and the idea is that ultimately it teaches you how to get into those states yourself because you're the ultimate permission slip, because you're the one deciding to change anyway, regardless of how many teachers or permission slips you might use. Ultimately, the change comes from your decision to change. It's just that the teachers can encourage you to do so based on your belief system.
Okay.
Yes?
So, I mean, if once I do it once, I don't even need to do it again.
It depends on your belief system. That's
Okay.
the point.
Okay.
But you can get to the point where you realize that, yes, you don't necessarily need to do it that way again, because when you keep doing something in the same way, thinking you need to do it again and again in the same way, you're actually missing the point, and that's the beginning of addiction. That's using the teacher as a crutch, not as a teacher. Because the idea is that you know how to get into those states. Even remembering what it was like to be in that state means you're in the state. It may not feel exactly the same, but it shouldn't necessarily need to, because you're different. And therefore the state will feel different to serve you in the way that you're different. So assuming that the state always has to feel identically to the way it did before is a misunderstanding. Yes?
Yes.
Making sense?
Yes, that's
All
making
right.
sense. You had just mentioned addiction,
Yes.
and
Addiction is the attempt to fill an emptiness that you're not aware of what the tools would be that would fill it in a positive way, and therefore you do everything you can to fill it with things that are not designed to fill it.
that makes sense. So if somebody, I mean, okay, so if someone wants to get off or stop taking a certain substance,
Yes,
the way I see it, it's a choice.
of course. But
Is
it's based on a belief system about the self.
Okay, so the belief system then will, I'm trying to think of the right word to describe someone's framework, but when someone gets off a substance, they have withdrawal symptoms. So
They
that's,
can,
They
yes.
can. So that's the belief. There's a belief system within that says
There
that.
is, because they don't have to have that experience, because this involves what we have called the 13th step. Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not.
If you understand that every moment you are literally a new person, you follow me? Mm-hmm. Literally a new person. You're defining yourself over and over and over again, but you are literally a new person every time, even if you're using definitions that make you seem the same in order to create an illusion of continuity. But that continuity is an illusion. Moment to moment to moment, billions of times per second, you are literally becoming a completely different person. If you actually are able to wrap your mind around this concept and understand that that means you are literally starting from zero every single moment, then you can start to consciously define yourself as a person, not who is no longer addicted to the substance, but who never has been. You have a different history as a new person. And therefore, you don't even relate to the idea of ever having been addicted. It's simply something the new person has never experienced. Therefore, why should the new person go through withdrawal for something that isn't in their history? That's the 13th step. Now, we understand that many people on your planet may have a challenge wrapping their mind around how to use that. And therefore, going through it in whatever way works for you, with whatever permission slips works, according to the belief system, is just fine. But that's the ultimate understanding, is that you literally are a different person who now has a different history. Yes?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes, it is. You are given the ultimate key to freedom by understanding how existence works. That's all you need to do. Understand the instruction manual clearly, and you have the ultimate key to freedom. To be whoever you prefer to be. All it takes is understanding the instruction manual. That's all you need to do.
So what if that comes, like I want to live in my highest excitement all the time and be my true self.
Yes.
Yet
You want to or are doing it. See, that's the difference. Please remember, everything is its own state of being. So when you say, I want something, the only state that's happening there is the state of wanting. Not having, not doing, not being, a state of wanting. It's its own reality. So the more you want, the more you will remain in the state of wanting.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So be it, do
Okay.
it, act on it to the best that you are able, with no insistence on the outcome, because you don't really know what the best outcome might actually be for you. This is another aspect of the negative ego that wants and wants and wants and thinks it knows best, and therefore says, what I want would be best for me. Negative ego hasn't a clue what would be best, what you really need as a whole being, quite often. Sometimes the wants and the needs may coincide, but don't be fooled by that into thinking again that the negative ego knows what it's doing. The very definition of a negative ego is that it has no idea what it's doing. It just thinks it does because it's a negative ego. Please remember, people that are in denial are also in denial about being in denial. Yes?
Yeah.
So you have to see how the levels work, how the belief systems work. Negative belief systems will create many layers that make it more challenging to go through. That's why denial is a very powerful negative belief system tool to prevent you from letting go of the negative belief, because if you're in denial about even having the negative belief, there's nowhere to start from there until you finally realize that everything you're experiencing has to be the product of something you believe to be true, and that gives you the key to freedom again, because you realize that everything is just a belief, it's not a fact. and that there is really nothing to be afraid of in deeply investigating your negative beliefs, because when you really find out what they are, I guarantee you they will never actually be true about you. Negative beliefs are nothing but falsehoods that have to work very hard to get you to buy into them because they're not true. That's why negative beliefs have to work so much harder than positive ones, because what they're telling you is not true. So it has to be wrapped in all sorts of smoke and mirrors and tricks to get you to buy the idea. You're not worthy. This is difficult to change. It doesn't want you to let go of it. That's how they're designed. They're designed to perpetuate themselves. But because they're telling you lies, they have to trick you into believing that what they're telling you is true by getting you not to look too deeply at them. That's how they work. When you begin to see through the smoke and mirrors, you have the key to freedom. And all that takes is understanding how things work, like beliefs. Is this making some sense?
Yeah.
Is this making some sense? All right.
So just my last question then would be, is there a way to soothe the negative ego when those fears do come up?
Well, again, you understand that it's there for the reason of pointing you. See, that's the paradox. The negative belief does have a paradoxical aspect in that when it reveals itself to you in any way, shape, or form through those particular tricks, it has actually, in some way, shape, or form, brought your attention to the fact that it exists. So in recognizing that the ego may be expressing itself in a negative way, you've caught it in the act. And you can recognize that it has now given you an opportunity to ask the question, what am I missing here? What is it hiding? What do I need to look for? What are my beliefs and definitions that are out of alignment with what I prefer to be? And then that begins the investigation into yourself, which is the whole point of the process in your life anyway, is to know yourself. Mm-hmm. Yes? And to be yourself, your real self. Even though negative ego and negative beliefs may make it seem to be the easier thing to do, the most challenging and truly difficult thing to do and the most painful thing to do in life is to try to be someone you're not. That's what's causing all the difficulty, attempting to be someone you're not in life. When you really are who you are, your life flows easily, effortlessly, joyfully, creatively, and lovingly. Because that's what you truly are. Make sense?
Yeah.
Is this helping?
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a joke for you.
Oh, all right.
Knock, knock.
Is this the joke you already told us?
No.
Who's there?
ETs.
ETs?
Yes.
Who?
ET's nice to see you again.
Good one. Is there something else you would like to discuss?
Yes.
What would that be?
We rescued a cat.
All right. How exciting.
We named it Zebra.
Zebra.
And his ear fell off, so we were taking it to the doctor.
Yes.
And he ran out of the cage.
And then what?
We were trying to find him.
Have you not found him?
No.
All right.
I just wanted to share that.
All right. Well, if you learn, as we have already discussed, to listen, ear falling off, to listen to that cat vibration within yourself, you will be able to hear the cat. And the cat can tell you whether or not it's important for you to find the cat. But you can communicate with the cat by listening to that cat vibration within yourself.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to talk to Willa.
One moment. What do you want, Cookie?
I would just like to share that I have 2 hearts. I feel like I'm connected to you because when I was little, I always used to say that I had 2 hearts.
You're a very wise little lass. And you are connected to our heart and many other hearts. And you're beginning to feel that more and more in your life then. As you grow, you will find you have more than 2. You may have 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You may wind up with 11 hearts or more, maybe even 13, if you listen carefully enough. You will find that you will gather all your hearts as you grow and put them in the basket of your being. And when they are beating in the basket of your being, you will be a very powerful one, and a very powerful one indeed. So thank you for the gathering of your hearts. We appreciate it, and it will make all the difference in your world. It will. It will give you the beat to which you will walk through life, one heart at a time.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, lass. We appreciate it more than we can say, and our unconditional love to you and yours and all the friends you are connected to, and your playmates in other worlds and other dimensions. We thank you for your gifts and your willingness to be you. Our love to you then. Is there anything else you need to say to us, or should we allow the Bashar to come back?
Yes.
All right then. Good day to you, lass. Love you, Willa. As we love you all. Did you have a pleasant conversation?
Yes.
Is there anything else you would like to say, or will that do?
I would like to know how to contact with fairies.
Go and find the fairy rings in the forest. When you see the mushrooms, stand nearby, even if it's not in a ring. Allow yourself just to, again, as we have described, find the vibration of the mushroom itself, and through the mushroom can act as an interpreter and an ambassador for you to the elementals that you would call fairies. And you can begin to develop a relationship that way, with the mushroom as an intermediary. Does that help?
Yes.
All right, have fun. Was that it?
More, but what are elementals?
Elementals are forms of consciousness that can express themselves in a kind of spirit form, like a fairy, like a puka, like a sylph, like a silky. All these different forms are kind of like the electromagnetic consciousness expression, showing you how plastic it is, how malleable it is, because different forms of consciousness that are the elementals can impress their consciousness into the plasticity of the electromagnetic field and create a representational form that you can perceive in order to communicate with you. Those plastic forms that are not really physical, you call fairies and elementals. Is that making some sense? It's like having a sheet of rubber, and the sheet of rubber is the electromagnetic field, and then you take your hand and you push your hand into that sheet of rubber, and a person on the other side will see the imprint of your hand in the sheet of rubber. They're not really seeing your hand, but they're seeing the outline of your hand. The outline of your hand would be considered an elemental, even though the elemental behind it is invisible to them. But the elemental has to take on a form that you can perceive by impressing itself in the sheet of rubber so that you have something to be able to see. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes.
All right, so they are forms of consciousness that exist within the electromagnetic expression of consciousness of your entire world. They are aspects of nature that need a medium through which to express themselves in a way that you can perceive them. Otherwise, you couldn't perceive them at all. Does that help?
Yes.
All right. Will that do?
I would just like to share that I was like, I made it rain.
Well, yes, many people have the ability, again, to be on the vibratory level of the weather and communicate with the weather, and so make an arrangement for the weather to create whatever it is they wish to experience. So yes, that's becoming more and more common. It's using synchronicity, it's using communication of the vibration of the idea of the elementals, and making an agreement and an arrangement to experience a certain condition, such as rain or sun or what have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love you.
I love you too. Unconditionally. Good day. So then, all of you, please enjoy a short break, and we will resume this transmission to help crystallize in your ability to find the frequencies that allow you to be a part of nature's social network more consciously. We will say, transmission is resumed.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
It's really a great pleasure to be able to spend Father's Day with you and to be able to soak in all this wonderful information that you share with us. Another aspect of it is just your heart and the beautiful love and unconditional acceptance. It's just a phenomenal thing to experience. And you really are a beautiful role model for so many of us in terms of what is balanced and what is the true self. And you also give us such a great message of hope because you show us what the future is in terms of our expanded consciousness, how much there is to look forward to. And it's not just limited to this one life experience.
Well, what else would a father do?
So I think you're right up there with Atticus Finch and...
We trust you don't need us to kill any mockingbirds.
Of course not. So one of the things we wanted to do was, first of all, to ask you, what have you, in these years that you've been spending with us humans, what have you learned from a father's perspective about working with human children? And that includes all of us, since we seem to be, as one of the children, just...
I have learned that you are all brats. Mischievous little imps. Now, the idea is to understand that each and every one of you has a beautiful beating heart, and we see ourselves reflected in that as you may see yourselves reflected in us if you look in the mirror of truth, and that it is our passion and our joy to polish that mirror so that you may see your true selves within. For that is all any parent can do, is show the child their true self and know that will be what they need for guidance in life. The rest is up to the synchronicities that each has chosen for themselves in their unique expression of being, and the joy in watching every child grow into the true expression of themselves fills the heart with joy infinitely. It is this upon which we are nurtured. It is this that reinforces for us the true experience of the unconditional love of all that is, which is father and mother to all beings within it.
Thank you. That was lovely. It's nice that you think of us this way. And in return for the gift that you've given to us, we have a little gift here with, or maybe it's a big gift, and it's from Deanna and all of us, since we know you enjoy the hung, and so I'll let her deliver this message of love to you.
Reminds us of home. Thank you.
So I think it's time for us to go ahead and get started with the holotope. Thank you so very much for that. That was totally beautiful.
It was beautiful because it was a gift from the heart.
Yeah, it was actually really fun to just feel love for you and listen to those beautiful sounds. And I hope all of you were able to enjoy that also. Because we all really love you, Bashar. Happy Father's Day.
We thank you. All of you now may prepare to relax. As we go on this leg of the journey together, in allowing yourselves to let go of all the concerns of the day and begin to just gently breathe, easily and gently, as your music rises again, as your lights shift, and you begin to float freely, as you gaze upon the holotope, continuing to breathe, and allowing yourself to observe and behold that all of the lines, the crisscrossing lines, are indicative of nature's social network, all the linkages, all the connections, the mycelial network of the trees, the deep resonance field of the rocks, the consciousness field of the animals and of the humans. See yourselves reflected in the center, connected to everything by all of these lines and patterns of energy that swirl around the center, in a constant dance and in a constant exchange of information, of support, of love. Allow yourself, as you see each of these lines crisscrossing and connecting to all forms and expressions of life and consciousness on your planet, that they all come back to you at the center. They all harmonize in the center. They all synthesize in the center and allow you to resonate with these multiple harmonics, and within that overall harmonic, your ability to still perceive when, where, and how you need to, the individual vibrations that are the specific frequency linkages to specific expressions of consciousness in your reality. Be it visible or invisible, matters not. Be it matter or energy, matters not. All is alive, all is consciousness, all is vibration, all is resonance, all is information, and all are one. Allow it to expand within you. Allow it to be expressed within you. Become sensitized to the different frequencies that exist as part of your makeup. Look deep into the total overall harmonic to find the individual chords that make it up. The beautiful song that you are, the resonant frequency of energy and awareness that each and every one of you is, and all of you together are. And when we say all of you together, again, all of your world, the elements, the elementals, the rocks, the trees, the streams and the seas, the animals, and all forms of being, sky, earth, water, fire, expressing themselves in all the forms of consciousness that together make up the beautiful tapestry of your reality. Weave upon weave, thread upon thread, lines connecting all to all in a beautiful dance, in a beautiful pattern, in a beautiful exchange of awareness, knowledge, intelligence, and information, in a beautiful dance of being, the eyes of all the animals peering at you, surrounding you. All of the glistening crystals and rocks within you and surrounding you. All of the trees and the branches and the flowers and the grasses of the fields surrounding you and within you. The sky, the air, the molecules within you. Feel the different frequencies as you pluck the different strings. Listen carefully to the different tones, each of which tells a story of a different life, of a different form and expression of consciousness, as you float in this electromagnetic sea of awareness, of living light, of beauty and grace, and artistry, infinite artistry, the architecture of existence itself. You are woven from it, suspended threads of awareness and intelligence. That is what you are. The nexus points of the crossing of these lines of light, lines of information, lines of energy. That is what you are. Self-aware consciousness, reflecting itself to itself, infinitely in all directions, always at the center, and containing it all, infinitely within you, in all directions, in and out, breathing, breathing, breathing life, in and out, connecting, becoming aware of all life, coursing through you with every beat of your heart, sensing nature, that you are, the sights, the smells, the sounds of the deep forest, of the deep earth, of the deep waters, and the heights, the lofty heights, and the rarefied atmospheres, and the vibrant resonant tones that immerse you, penetrate you, raise you up, connect you, speak through you. As you express all the ways that you can be, as a combination of all the tones and all the frequencies of love and light that create your world, your reality experience, this journey within yourself that never ends because it never began. It simply is. This moment, here and now, eternally, infinitely. Hear the call, the call, the call. Answer the call, the call, the call to be you. Let go of all that is not. Embrace all that is. You are beauty, you are grace, you are gratitude, you are life, you are nature itself, expressing itself in all the ways it can. The deep resonances within you now awaken to be able to hear more clearly the songs of all beings of every form. Go deeply within yourself and become awake in your physical lucid dream. You are on this journey together with all that is and as all that is, with us, with all. Flow. Be at peace. Continue to breathe the life force in and out that radiates from you with every beat of your heart, the ripples that flow from you and touch all as you are touched, as you are embraced, as you are welcomed, as you are loved. You are children of the stars, children of the cosmos, children of all that is. You are the mothers and the fathers of your own being, raising your own child to become aware of its infinite nature. Stand still within this moment and know that you are at once infinitely everywhere. Listen. Just listen. From a deeper level than ever before. Hear the songs of the stars, the music of the spheres, for they also express intelligence. Float among them in the vastness of infinite existence, flowing with the currents of space and time. The very fabric of your being, the very fabric of your soul. Journey with us now into the deepest part of your being, the deepest part of yourselves, and breathe it in and let it out. Like waves upon the shore, breathe it in and let it out. Breathe it in and let it out. Allow your music to soften. Allow your lights to dim. But know beyond certainty that this song continues within you. This vibration resonates within you, always. And you can always call upon it in this moment of this now to be in touch with all the information, all the beings and all the levels of consciousness that you need to. Be in love. Be at peace. Be yourself. Welcome home. Our unconditional love to you all. Lucid dreams.
discover in the deepest, darkest